Crypt Custodian is a brand new and very charming top-down Metroidvania title developed by Kyle Thompson and published by Top Hat Studios and H2 Interactive respectively. It was released on the 27th of August on console and PC and got me pretty occupied since launch, so much so that I didn't really play anything else and achieved 100% completion in the process. In this video I will elaborate why and why I think you should check it out too. Let me preface this review by saying that Crypt Custodian will pull on your heartstrings quite a bit, especially if you're a pet owner or are fond of animals in general. The game takes place in the afterlife, or more specifically, the afterlife for all recently deceased pets and wildlife animals. And insects, I suppose, because there are bugs down here too. And no, I don't mean technical bugs, but more on that later. Anyway, this place of limbo is run by Kendra, a bullfrog lady of seemingly significant caliber, because all new arrivals dropping into the realm of the dead have to be judged by her first. If you were a good pet, you get to quote-unquote live in her palace, getting access to the elusive crystal mirror, which allows you to see your loved ones for a limited time again. But if you were a bad kitty in Kendra's eyes, you'll get punished into cleaning up the afterlife for all eternity, no matter how puny or serious your crimes were. Those poor souls won't ever get the opportunity to use the mirror because there will be nothing else for them except garbage picking. And this is exactly what happens to Pluto, our mischievous feline protagonist who sadly recently died in a car accident and finds himself in front of Kendra's critical gaze. Although being an overall great cat in the world of the living, it all goes downhill from here because we had to break some pots in the tutorial to get to Kendra in the first place. Turns out she doesn't quite appreciate that at all, so she quickly condemns us into swinging the broom until the end of time. Guess who's never gonna see their owners again? Well, not until we meet Gris, an equally mischievous character who's planning a heist on the palace to steal the crystal mirror. That plan requires the help of 10 friends we have to make over the course of the game though, so Pluto's agenda seems to be set. That's basically all you need to know about the general story of Crypt Custodian for now, so let's go over the gameplay section of this review. So, being a Metroidvania game, you'll start off with basically nothing except your basic weapon, which is of course the broom given to you by Kendra for your janitorial duties, the ability to jump and a dodge roll. You will unlock all kinds of different abilities and special attacks of course, simply by progressing through the game naturally and by diligently exploring the map. There are also a handful of several collectibles for you to find, like upgrade points, which you'll need to equip skills in the first place, jukebox discs or lost spirits for instance, as well as photographs of the different characters which reveal a bit more about their past. A lot of these upgrades and collectibles are well hidden and oftentimes locked behind some form of puzzle or challenge room, and a moderate selection can even be purchased in the Sinner's Inn. That's the establishment you'll stumble across in the opening hour of Crypt Custodian. Curse rooms are a thing too. Here you often have to defeat a certain number of enemies while being cursed with some form of disadvantage, getting chased by spikes or dying in one hit for example, to get your reward. You can mix and match all of your unlocked skills and special attacks however you like, actually creating some kind of build in the process, and I think that's really cool. Given the nature of the game, you will backtrack quite a lot here. I only mention this because I have seen people online complain about games like Hollow Knight for example, saying that there's too much backtracking, not taking into account that they're playing a Metroidvania type of game, I guess. Go figure. But yeah, there are abilities that will let you explore some previously inaccessible areas, as is custom with games that fall into this genre, so going back and forth shouldn't come as too big of a surprise here. But worry not, you can easily fast travel between your unlocked checkpoints at any point to negate some of that walking time. Now, map design is pretty solid, I'd say. Crypt Custodian features some cool looking areas for sure, although given the fact that most, if not all of the different levels are platform based, so to speak, they tend to bleed into each other a bit and make the map seem more convoluted than it actually is, in my opinion. But maybe that's just me, because as I have mentioned in the Wukong video, I do seem to have some kind of orientation deficit, I don't know. Be that as it may, the different areas are generally pretty cool. I particularly liked Pearl's Shrine, the back and the Neon Crest the most, just to name a few highlights here. Alright, let's talk about combat for a bit, because apart from exploring, fighting things plays a pretty big role in these kinds of games, I'd say. As I mentioned earlier, your combat prowess and the ability to do anything flashy is relatively limited in the beginning of the game. For starters, you have your standard attack, which can be chained into a combo, a jump slash and a dash strike you can execute while dodge rolling, but you'll unlock more skills and upgrades and even some form of ranged attack for your broom while playing through it. That in turn means that combat really picks up after you've played the game for a bit, so while it may seem like pretty basic stuff at first, it will get really intense after a few hours playtime. And I'm not talking about fighting the normal enemies, they don't pose too much of a threat if you're not downright getting swarmed. I'm referencing the numerous bosses you'll encounter during your time in Crypt Custodian. The game turns into a straight up bullet hell type of affair with some of these fights, and I'm all here for it because these bosses are a definitive highlight for sure. Most of them were quite challenging, especially on hard difficulty, but very fun to fight nonetheless. You even unlock a dedicated boss rush mode you can access from the main menu after defeating the first one, so you get to fight your favorite bosses from the game over and over again if you wish. That's pretty awesome if you ask me. I mean, what kind of developer does something like that anymore? I'm looking at you, FromSoft, please give us some kind of boss rush in your next title. While there aren't any direct weapon upgrades for you to find, at least in terms of raw damage, you won't find some kind of flashy broom or anything like that. I mentioned earlier that you can mix and match all of your unlocked skills and special attacks however you like, allowing you to create some distinct builds in the process, and there are combinations which are quite powerful. You have to be at a save point for this, you can't do it on the fly unfortunately, but there are more than enough checkpoints in the game to heal, save and equip yourself at. You can compare the skill mechanic to something like the charm system from Hollow Knight, for example. There are several difficulty and accessibility options in the game too, so you will have the opportunity to customize your experience to fit your needs and abilities. I played and beat the entire thing on hard right away, so I can't really tell you how it compares to the other difficulties, but on the easier settings I think you can find more healing wells and health upgrades and stuff like that. While it's not the most difficult game on the market right now, I died quite a bit, especially while fighting some of the bosses. But you know, as always, patience and pattern recognition are key here. So let's talk about technical stuff and sound design for a bit before wrapping up this video. To keep the technical aspects short, I don't have anything to report here really. No bugs, no crashes, and the performance is flawless as you would expect. Some achievements popped only after exiting and reopening the game for me, but that's really it. Sound-wise, it's great as well. All sound effects are very rich and hefty and give the fights quite an impactful edge. And I really have to spotlight Eric Thompson here as well, because the musical backdrop he created for the game fits all situations and different areas perfectly. The OST is seriously great, with lots of memorable songs in here, and for some reason it got me reminiscing about my personal golden age of indies with games like the OG Isaac, Braid, Spelunky and Fez for instance. Crypt Custodian doesn't feature any voice acting, but Pluto is not a silent protagonist at least. I thought I should mention this here as well. I have to confess that I didn't play Kyle's previous games Sheepo and Islets beforehand, so I don't have a direct comparison to how he evolved as a game developer, but I thoroughly enjoyed my time with Crypt Custodian anyway, and I think you will too if you're already familiar with Kyle's previous titles or are in the market for a somewhat shorter Metroidvania game that doesn't overstay its welcome or tries to overly draw out the playtime with some tedious collectathons. Almost all of the collectibles, although more or less well hidden or locked away, are found near the main path, and you will probably find most, if not all of them, by playing through the game casually. If you care about collecting them at all, that is. I think I spent 14 hours or so reaching 100% completion, and there is actually some kind of post-game in which you can explore to your heart's content for as long as you like and get some story closure while you're at it. You could probably squeeze a few more hours out of the game if you occupy yourself with the boss rush mode in trying to get all S ranks in every respective difficulty, but overall I think Crypt Custodian is very much worth it for its main campaign alone. It doesn't try to reinvent the wheel or anything like that, but it surely reels you in with its tight gameplay, lovely cast of characters and emotional but very heartwarming story. The ending had me in shambles for sure, I'll tell you that much. But yeah, with that said, I leave you to your thoughts for the time being. I hope you enjoyed watching this video as much as I did making it, and I'll see you in the next one, which is actually gonna be the upcoming Zelda game, so I'm very much looking forward to that one.